It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, the shutdown. As we know, CNN held their Socialist town hall.
Their latest Socialist town hall.
Yes, latest.
Let's face it, CNN is a Socialist town hall.
With Bernie Sanders and AOC. Mm-hmm. And Speaker Johnson talked about it yesterday. I'll play the full clip here.
All right.
Last hour we just played the first clip so you could correct him when he said
yes.
it was the first
right.
Socialist town hall, and you went, no, it had to be at least 2008.
Yeah.
Here we go.
CNN hosts the first Socialist town hall where Bernie Sanders and AOC said the quiet parts out loud. They don't know what they want to end the shutdown. They couldn't provide a single viable solution for the mess that they themselves have gleefully created. And by the way, those are the real leaders of the Democrat Party. We all know it. AOC and Bernie. Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
It was so quick at the end.
That.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't
good
like
luck with that.
It wasn't good luck with that. It was good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I just love that. So, more on the shutdown here. John Kernan from CNBC with Senator Mark Kelly. Now, if Don Knotts was the reluctant astronaut, oh man, I'm dating myself now, aren't I? I'm really dating myself. That goes back to the 60s. All right, Gary, you got to come up with something that's more common. Well,
these hands are certified lethal weapons.
Wait a minute. It's in massive syndication, so everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right.
You know Don Knotts.
That's true. I forgot about syndication is everywhere. And
right.
Streaming is everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and Pluto is free TV. So
yes, it is.
Just very quickly, I'd love to look at their business model and how much they're making.
Yeah,
because Pluto is they play so much of all the class. You want to watch Cheers? Boom. You want to watch Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah.
Boom.
That's a good point.
And it's all so many old shows and pretty modern movies too. And they update it. I checked the other day. It was like Halloween movies. Now they play commercials, but you go to Pluto and it's like you've got cable.
Yeah, it really is. No, I was talking to my daughter. She said she had watched something recently. I said, "Where did you watch that?" She said, "Pluto."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, on her laptop."
So if you want to, and I've said before, since I'm getting old, and it's just very tough for me to get to bars. Whenever I want to go to a bar, I just turn on the couple of minutes of Cheers and listen to Norm and Cliff, and I feel like I've been out and done something.
Exactly. You actually went somewhere.
Yeah, I did something. I went to my recliner.
Exactly.
That did happen to me one time, a long time ago. I dated a woman.
Yeah.
And she knew me from the radio, which was a mistake. Because she said, when I first started going out with you, you told me that, look, what I do in the radio is a part of me, but I do it so many hours of the week that I'm a lot quieter. And my life is a lot quieter than it may come across, on the air. And when we broke up, she said, "You're right. You're boring."
Yeah.
Now, do you think I got angry at her? What was my response?
Probably like mine would be. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it was like, you're right.
No, you're right.
You're right. I told you. And I burst out laughing. I go, well, I told you. It's like you're trying to insult me from something that I told you. I don't do a lot. I need to sleep. I need to do a lot of things in order to do the show overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
But she actually said that to me. You know, you are. You were right. You are boring.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, it is what it is.
But if Don Knotts was the reluctant astronaut, Mark Kelly is the reasonless astronaut.
Yeah.
And I say that, we go back to the audio cut we played about a week ago, where he was talking to some woman. It was some podcast or something, but it was outdoors. And he was saying, you're right. We don't need trillionaires. We don't need billionaires. Well, we could have billionaires, but 50 billion would be it. And so if you're going to be close to a trillionaire, we just take all the money away from you, and then we can put it. And I'm like, what an economic idiot. And I hate name calling, but Eric, it's gotten so stupid. I don't know what to do anymore in order to express my frustration that these are actually adults and he was an astronaut.
Yeah.
And there's no critical thinking skills at all. Zero. Well, he was on with Kernan on CNBC, and let's listen to this.
And only one person in the Democratic Party has broken with the ranks. It's like, I don't understand it. It hasn't been working well for Democrats with Mamdani.
This is pretty simple. The government does not have to be shut down. It doesn't have to be shut down. We can
Senator,
fix this
now
here
you're just parsing,
in a matter of just a couple days. I mean, this could be easily solved
to
by
go
sitting
past
down
cloture,
at the
to
table.
Get past 60, to get past 60, you need some Democrats to reopen the. That's what's going to have to happen, Senator. You close the government down because you want 1.5 trillion for all these different things that Schumer wants. That it's obvious to everyone. Although maybe you can convince the public that it's the Republicans, but it's not.
He's just sitting there. His face is just like blank. I said John. So. But that's Senator Mark Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, he just seems to be clueless. Mark Kelly.
All right, in other news, 2 alleged Antifa members were indicted by a federal grand jury this week for reportedly attacking an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE facility in Texas this past July, not far from where I live. Issued on Wednesday, the indictment charged Cameron Arnold and Zachary Evitz with providing material support for terrorism, attempting to murder federal and assisting officers, and discharging firearms during attempted murders, per Fox News. FBI Director Kash Patel marked the moment as historic in statement after the indictment was unsealed on Thursday. For the first time ever, the FBI has arrested anarchist, violent extremists and charged these Antifa-aligned individuals with material support to terrorism, Patel said. This was a planned and coordinated terrorist attack at the Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas, where armed extremists tried to murder U.S. officers on July 4th. I'm still blown away by what they did.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
How they all got together online on the internet.
Right.
And we are executing under President Trump's new authorities at record speed. To date, the FBI has made over 20 arrests tied to this case related to Antifa networks. No one gets to harm law enforcement, not on our watch. Attorney General Pam Bondi called Antifa a left-wing terrorist organization that will be prosecuted to the fullest. As Breitbart News reported in July, as many as 10 individuals were charged with attempted murder for allegedly ambushing ICE agents outside the detention center in Texas, according to a press release from the Justice Department at the time. The defendants in black military, hang on one second here because I'm reading it. I printed it up, and there's an ad right across the middle of it.
All right. But they were in military-style clothing, I think, is what basically the point that was going to be made.
Military-style clothing, and as we know, when you read it, when you go through the entire indictment, you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
This thing was as organized as you can get. It's as organized as any. And by the way, has there been anybody on the left that's looked at this indictment and said it's bogus in any way? That using a terrorism charge is somehow I haven't heard anything yet. Have you?
No. Not at all. Nope. There are so many questions about this, about how they come together online. Authorities tell us this group of individuals didn't know each other. And how does it come to be that, and some of the media in the recent coverage, some of the media saying a cult-like group. What do you mean cult-like group? What is it that we don't know about this group of individuals and how they came together? First of all, how is something like this funded and organized? Because you look at the 3 ICE shootings in Texas, the one in Alvarado really sticks out.
Yeah.
And then there was the one in South Texas that happened a few days after that, and then the more recent one that happened just a few miles from where we're sitting right now. And the question would be, what is the organization? Who is putting all of this together? Where's the funding coming from? Because this doesn't, I know there are like-minded individuals, that the radicals are out there. But we're talking about bringing people together to carry out something like this. Showing up at a protest is one thing. But this isn't like a lone actor situation. This was a group of individuals that all were part of this, according to authorities.
And it was coordinated. According to the press release from the Justice Department at the time, the defendants, dressed in black military-style clothing, began shooting fireworks at the facility as part of the organized attack. After approximately 10 minutes of convening, 1 or 2 of the individuals broke off from the main group and began to spray graffiti on vehicles and a guard structure in the parking lot of the facility. An Alvarado police officer responded to the scene after corrections officers called 911 to report suspicious activity. When the police officer arrived, one alleged defendant positioned in nearby woods shot the officer in the neck area. Another alleged assailant across the street fired 20 to 30 rounds at unarmed correctional officers who had stepped outside the facility. As alleged in the complaint, AR-style rifles were found at the scene. The assailants fled from the detention center but were stopped by additional law enforcement officers. Some defendants were wearing body armor, some were armed, and some had two-way radios. A total of 12 sets of body armor were found during the searches of vehicles associated with the defendants on their persons and in the area around the Prairieland Detention Center. Officers also discovered spray paint along with politically charged flyers bearing messages like "Fight ICE Terror with Class War," "Free all political prisoners." The indictment also alleges that Cameron Arnold yelled, "Get to the rifles," when police responded to the attack. Seconds later, the co-conspirator Arnold opened fire on the officers, striking the police officer in the neck area. As the unarmed correctional officers ducked and ran for cover, the wounded officer fell to the ground but was able to return a few shots. Co-conspirator 1 continued to fire additional rounds until his rifle jammed. The attackers then left the scene. Whoa.
Yeah.
And you can see what it was about. The whole thing was about drawing unarmed ICE officers out there so you could basically execute them.
Right.
So you could assassinate them.
Right.
That's terrorism.
Yes. And again, it doesn't sound like we're talking about amateurs here. This is too well organized.
Well, it was organized. They may not have been professional hitmen, but it was.
What I mean by that is that you've got some kind of training, some level of training and practice and plan put into place.
You definitely had a conspiracy and a plan.
This doesn't seem like, hey guys, want to go do this on Tuesday?
No, there took planning. There was planning. It was premeditated, yes.
And get to the rifles? I mean, again, this isn't getting people together for a protest.
No. This was about...
This is well organized and planned and funded.
This was about killing law enforcement.
Yes.
Jeez. And they're still on the mask thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they shouldn't wear a mask. They're doing everything to dox them. Did you see Tom Homan said he has not lived with his wife since he has taken the job because of the security risk?
Well, we know that, we know the cartels have it out for the heads of Department of Homeland Security, ICE, the Border Patrol. That's been the case for a long, long time. But now you've got to add on to that and worry about your domestic radicals. And so you don't live a normal life. This is what this has caused. And they should take off their masks. Why? So we can dox them is the only answer you can give.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Smart owner-operators make every single week as profitable as possible. One trip is not enough time to be considered profitable or unprofitable, and an entire month may be too much time to manage. 1 week is the right amount of time to deal with efficiently. To do so, look at the advantages and disadvantages of every day of the week. Match trip length to the optimum day of the week. Plan to deliver on the day you have the best opportunity of getting a load. Your personal weekly plan will vary depending on the weekly delivery flow cycle of your region, typical length of haul, personal requirements, and other factors. What's important is to have a specific weekly plan that helps you be successful. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I just really wonder what the response of Democrats are going to be to the indictment coming down, the terrorist indictment, and the mentioning of Antifa, which all of a sudden, over the last couple of weeks, we really haven't discussed this that much, the number of Democrats that went, Antifa? Oh, who are they? We don't know who they are. Do they exist somewhere?
Yeah. Right.
I just wonder what the response is going to be to this. Are they going to be? Is there anything to argue about this on CNN? Will they find a way to do it? What will they say on MSNBC? How will The View look at this?
Yeah, they'll probably come up with something, but I don't know. Just when we think you can't possibly argue this, they come up with something. I don't know the last time. Now, we have a certain standard for arguments. Something we like to call substance and truth. Not so much on the left.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, now, this, we never got to play this yesterday. We had played some of Justice Jackson, but this was the one that really set fire to social media yesterday in the debate about minority-majority districts.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is the one that really caused an outcry on social media. Here we go.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
So, of course, social media blew up saying that you just called black people disabled.
Yeah.
The lawyer came back and said, wait a minute, one's race-based, the other isn't.
Right.
One's actually a physical impairment. Race is not a physical impairment.
Right.
And, you know, the term disabled has been used and was used in the court case before, but the Supreme Court's looking at this and saying, but we're not comparing it to the ADA. You can't compare this to the ADA. That's a physical impairment. Race is not a physical impairment.
Right.
And, you know, even it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg that said eventually you're going to have to stop affirmative action. You can't continue it to ever. These are temporary solutions. Problem is, there is no temporary when you create Supreme Court precedent.
Right.
Well, I mean, there can be if you overturn the precedent.
Yeah.
But if you don't overturn the precedent, which is tough to do, something that you believe should be temporary ends up becoming permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And the argument is, today in 2025, is there any impairment for anybody, any citizen of the United States, not to be able to vote? Any impairment that is created by the government? No.
It flat out doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
And again, this is the mindset that if you are a minority, that you are helpless.
Yeah.
And the fact is, you're not.
You're right. It doesn't take away that narrative, because her narrative is they're helpless. They can't, that they somehow society or the government is keeping them from voting, or any other entity outside of themselves is keeping them from voting.
And that is false.
Right.
That's
completely false. And so she can't make the argument, but she's still making, she used the word disabled, and there were people who said, yeah, but that's been used before to say you're disabled from being able to do something, and therefore, for example, in the ADA and maybe in some other cases. But the fact is, there is no disability here. To use that word is wrong to begin with. There is no disability unless you're saying being black is a disability. Who is keeping blacks or anybody else from voting?
Right. Right. It just doesn't exist. It's not happening.
No.
But again, the mindset that minorities are limited They don't have the access, but they're being, but again, to the point of basically comparing them to being disabled, saying they're disabled. That if we as a government don't do this for you, you have nothing.
Right. You won't be able to vote.
Right. You have no voice. And that is false.
And if you're trying to say yes, but and this is the problem with it, because everybody sees it happening, and this is what's scaring the daylights out of the left, is that you had, and because of discrimination, you had more blocks of ethnic people voting at times in this country, a majority in a particular way.
Mm-hmm. That's
starting to move. In fact, the person that really has moved that forward more than anybody is Trump, and it's with Hispanics. So when the Republicans come out, for example, in the state of Texas, and say, "Wait a minute, but we are producing minority majority districts. They're Hispanic," they know that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That's Hispanic in favor of Republican. Well, yeah, but the law doesn't dictate who the vote goes for.
Yes.
The law doesn't dictate,
yeah.
We're trying to create minority majority districts that will vote Democrat.
Right.
It's just that minorities need to be able to choose more of their candidate. And then that's where you go down a bunch of different rabbit holes, because as the conservative movement continues the promotion of individuality and autonomy, why do you think that the left says that the concept of individuality and autonomy, that you are an autonomous person with your own thoughts, and you don't have to agree with anybody of your skin color, eye color, religion? You don't have to agree with the majority of people that hold either your skin color, immutable characteristics, and or religion. You can vote the way that you wish to vote. They can't have that. That's why they call that. Remember, the whole concept of critical race theory was that if you promote individuality and autonomy of the individual, that's white supremacy.
Right.
And they have to promote it that way, because there's no other way that you cannot. Because if you talk to anybody, we talk to our kids, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to be yourself, except when it comes to voting, you must agree with everybody with this particular skin color or ethnicity. Mm-hmm. What? And by the way, I've told the story of me getting it back, 35 years ago. There I was, a conservative Irish Catholic in the Northeast. Well, I got blasted one time at a St. Patrick's Day party by a bunch of old Irishmen that were livid. How could you betray the Irish? What the hell are you talking about? I mean, I was completely dumbfounded. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? You're Irish Catholic, right? Yeah. And you support conservative principles in the Republican Party more? Oh, yeah. Well, you're betraying your Irishness.
Yeah.
An old guy said it to me. I'm just like, I burst out laughing. I mean, it was hilarious. That to me was a foreign concept, but it wasn't back then.
Well, and you look at it now, and things are changing. This is why, again, the left is doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on this idea that if you're a minority, you can't do these things for yourself. You need the government to help you and give you this access, which is insane. That's because nobody is keeping you from voting. Nobody.
Part, I believe, of the left's message that the left wishes to have crime to be a problem. As soon as people can say, I feel safe and secure in my neighborhood and I can do the things that I wish to do, they become less than a victim.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They become less of a victim.
Right.
In their own minds.
Right.
When somebody says you can do it. Remember, the whole philosophy, we said Bernie Sanders, he was promoting pure immorality. It's evilness when he was telling young kids you can't make it today because of billionaires. Who the hell tells that to anybody? Who the heck tells anybody that they can't make it if they're determined to do so? That you can't make it because of outside forces. Liberalism survives on that. The whole concept is creating more victims and therefore more oppressors.
Right.
They can't have it where you're an autonomous individual that says, look, I'm going to follow my own path, and I'm not going to listen to you. And if you tell me I can't make it, to hell with you. I can make it.
Well,
they don't want to hear that.
They absolutely don't. Look, that's what really, I think, scared them about Charlie Kirk, is what they saw was the same thing that Charlie Kirk saw at the very beginning stages of Turning Point, and that was, well, these young people are independent, they're smart enough, and they are willing to listen. I believe I can have a conversation with them. Oh, my gosh, the indoctrination machine can't have that. You can't have that autonomy. You can't have young people thinking for themselves.
Well,
that's the last thing you want.
When you say that that individuality and the autonomy of the individual, when you're trying to make the debate case, as they are, that's white supremacy, that's racism. One of the most evil things, as we know, is racism.
Mm-hmm.
When you make individuality and the autonomy of an individual mind the most evil thing out there, you know they're running scared.
Yeah. Yep.
You know they're running scared.
Yep.
You know they can't sell it, so they've got to make it the most evil thing out there.
Yep. You've got to put the ultimate fear in people. And that's how they operate. And but they're and right now they're seeing these changes in the voting base. David Hogg pointed out that the voters in his age group are abandoning the Democratic Party. Well, there's a reason. Doesn't mean they're necessarily conservative. It just means there's more radicalism in that party, associated with that party, and fewer of them want to be a part of that.
Well, it's not the minutia of whether the minutia of the issues, whether they're conservative or liberal, but they do identify the insanity on college campuses.
That's it. The radicalism they're looking, because at that very basic level, just the college campus thing, outside of the actual party itself, the Democratic Party, it's all right. Wait a minute. Why did I come here? I may agree with some of these people on some things, but I came here to get an education.
Mm-hmm.
And this is disruptive. It's also quite possibly diminishing my ability when I graduate to go out and build my career if everything associated with this university is about those radicals, then I fall into that group.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, here we go again. Another No Kings protest. Remember we had one, what was it, back in August, was it?
Yeah.
And I call it one of the most tone-deaf protests of my entire life watching protests.
Mm-hmm.
And the one reason I was in Western New York, like I will be tomorrow. I'll probably be with my nephew again. Maybe we'll be going down Niagara Falls Boulevard in Amherst, New York, and come upon all these people on the side of the road. What's all this? Oh, my gosh, it's the No Kings protest. And my great nephew looking at me and saying, Uncle Gary, what's No Kings? What's this about? I go, oh, they're calling Trump a king, that we're being governed by a king. He said, well, wasn't he elected? I said, yeah. And he said, how can you be elected and be a king? Go, thank you. You got the point. When it's that simple to diffuse the argument, and when it's that simple, well, they believe that illegal immigrants should be able to stay here. Well, then, but I don't understand. How's Trump a king in that? Well, I don't know. I can't tell you. You'd have to ask them because it doesn't make any sense.
And I'm not letting you go ask them.
Right. Because the elected representatives of the people are the ones that pass the law. Yeah. It's a federal law that Trump is enforcing federal law. Nobody's making the case he's not enforcing federal law. He goes, well, yeah, but aren't they because they're calling him a king? I go, good point. Mm-hmm. I go, no, none of it makes sense.
None of it.
Tone deaf.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.